Yes. So when he says my name, okay, right? He says, listen, let's go to the other line up here. He says, I'm going to leave them neither a root, a sheresh, nor a branch. And that's the end of that. Then he says, my name, okay, the son of righteousness, okay? That's the S-U-N of righteousness, okay? With umarfe, okay? Umarfe, that's the next word right here, umarfe, of healing, okay? It's going to have healing in its wings, okay? So he's giving you a description. And why is his son going to burn everybody up? But yet it's going to be, why is he the son of righteousness? The son of righteousness, as I stated, is the one that Yahweh Zavaoth is calling upon to bring righteousness with healing in its wings. Okay. Why? Why?
I mean, is it for us? You know, they're going to, you know,
Yes.
the Most High is going to punish us, but not kill us. He's going to make it straight.
Yeah, he's going to make it straight. Remember, he's getting rid of the wicked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you look at this word Zavaoth, is what?
The host.
Yeah, he's the host, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you look at this word?
All new warfare.
Saba.
Yeah.
Yeah, my armies. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
My weapons.
Okay. It's going to be warfare. So when it talks, so every time, I want to let you guys know, every time, okay, he talks about Yahweh Zavaoth, Zavah, when he calls himself this, he's letting you know who his armies are. Okay. His armies. He's Yahweh of the host of the armies. Remember, we studied that the oath means plural. Remember?
Right.
Yes.
What's his armies? Who's part of his army?
Man, it's us, Israel, the sun, stars, moon, letters, water, everything.
Everything that's ever had an army, he is the Elohim of those armies.
So oath means
plural.
Plural.
Means many, more than one.
It means host. No, yeah. And Zabwa means army, a war or army.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Host of the army. Okay.
Right. So Yah is made, Israel is his army, and so is the sun, the moon, and the stars. We're one part of his army. He has a host of everything. He has a host of locusts. He has a host of animals. He has a host of snakes. He has a host of everything that he uses to bring about the judgment. But he promises that I'm going to bring out this sun, but what shall arise to you who fear my name? Those who fear his name. His name. The sun. So what's going to rise to us? But shall arise, okay? And shall arise the sun, the S-U-N, okay? The sun. You follow me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So who's that gonna raise to? Who's he saying that's gonna rise to?
The remnant.
Who's that gonna rise to for who?
The sun is going to rise to burn the wicked.
Yeah, but he says that the son of righteousness is going to rise for who? I'll read it again. Verse 2 at the top. But, okay, and Zoraka, meaning to rise, like the sun rises a rock, it will rise to you, to, and then you, Kim, to you, plural, who fear, Yireh, my name. This is what's going to rise to us, the Son of Righteousness. What he's saying is the sun is coming to burn up the wicked, but it's not going to burn you and I.
Mhm.
You guys follow what I just told you? You and I are
Yes.
going to be healed by this. The wicked are going to be destroyed by it. You and I are going to be healed by it. And what? And you shall go out. Okay, you, plural, yatsa. Okay. And this you here is these people. Tim, you shall go out. From where? From that, and grow fat like calves. Okay. You're going to go out from it like calves and grow fat, stall fed calves. Okay. Then it tells you what you're going to do too. What does it say here in 3? You, that's that Tim right there, shall trample the wicked. Why
Right.
and how? How should you trample them? Because for they
Ashes.
shall be ashes. And this is
Cold
not
and heat.
spiritual. I mean, this is not spiritual, folks.
No, physical.
That's fear. Afar is like ashes. Now, why are they turning to ashes?
Because they burnt up by the sun.
He burned them up by the sun. Okay. They shall be like ashes. And look, under the soles of your feet. Okay. When? On the day. Okay. And here's, I want to show you something. You see, it says a preposition. That's this letter right here. That means on. It's giving you a location. Okay. You see the word the?
Yes.
That's that definite article right here.
Hmm.
And then this is the noun. The definite article is an arrow called the eth. Or how do you say the in Hebrew, which goes into our teaching on our Hebrew letters. What letters used for the word the? Huh?
Eh,
It looks like
Yeah.
a Y with a dot.
No, here it is. If you get in your Hebrew right now, it's in the letter the. It's called a hey. That's the letter hey.
mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So this, okay. So I'm gonna put it up here again. The word eth, or this letter here, like this. You guys gonna see this a lot in the Hebrew scriptures. Equals this. The arrow to point to. Okay. The okay, which this equals this, the, and then the equals hey in the Hebrew language. Now, do you see a hey in this word up at top?
That's what I was saying. I don't see one.
You don't see one, right?
No.
But there it says there's an article here, a definite article, which I'm going to teach you guys a little later. This little mark right here, that little sign up there, not only has the ah sound, but in grammar, it tells you that it's a definite article. So literally what this is saying is it's like having an arrow pointed. When he talk about the ashes, he's saying the ashes, they shall be ashes under your feet on the day, this day, on this particular day. It's just one day. This one day, this one particular day, they shall be ashes underneath your feet. Okay. That's what he's saying. That I do, says Yahweh host. So Yahweh's going to do this. You're going to trample the wicked. Okay. What does he say in verse 4? Before we get into our teaching, he says, remember, that's the car. Okay. The car. And this right here means you. Plural. The law, the Torah, the instructions, not law.
Teachings.
That's not right.
Yeah.
Teachings and instructions.
Yeah. People get caught up on that law.
Yes. Nuh-uh. It's instructions. Okay. When you have two nouns to each other, they put a of in here because the instructions belong to this guy. Because he's the one who taught us the instructions. Am I correct? He says, Yah told me to give you instructions. So when you talk about Torah, okay, you're not talking about law, you're talking about instructions. Okay. I need you to remember the instructions that I gave to Moshe. When? Before the great and terrible day of the sun coming to burn. It's a day. It is a day. Okay. It's not a time frame. It's a literal day. That day can happen at any time. Whenever he decides to send to come, that's what it's going to be. But he warns his people. And who are the people that he's warning? Since out of the text that we just read, and I'll read it again without going into the breaking down of the words. Let me just read it again to you so you know who he's talking to. And you guys tell me who he's talking to. Verse number 1, for behold, the day is coming burning like an oven. Okay. And all the presumptuous, and yes, who do wickedly will be stubble and shall be burned up them. The day, look at this. I told you I wasn't gonna do any teaching, but I got to teach it. See that? Hey, that's the article. The day. So this is a day, okay, which is coming. They got a definite article on that one too to let you know this is the day, and this day is coming. Okay, says Yahweh. Okay, says Yahweh. Amar, he says Yahweh. Zavaoth. Zavaoth means Yahweh of heaven's armies, the one who's ready to go to war. Okay, that neither will leave them root nor branch. Okay, but shall arise to you. Who? The you here is you and I in plural. People online right now. You who fear. Who fear. That's who we're talking about. The ones who fear my name. The Son of Righteousness with healing in his wings. And you shall go out and grow fat like calves. Okay. All fed calves. You're good. I'm gonna burn everyone else, but so the implication is that I gotta put you away somewhere, maybe in your house. You know, maybe I should tuck you away in your house before this happens. Correct? Because where's a stall-fed calf? They're inside of a stall.
Oh.
This is the reason why Yah can put us in our house, because there's certain locations where he's going to drop this and you won't be hit. Like, you know, like when he sent the death angel, they had some blood on side of the doorpost and it passed over them. You understand? And so the reason why he's asking us or telling us to remember the Torah of Moshe, because Moshe, before the day that Yah came to redeem Israel, he gave them some instructions. I need you to do this, this, and that before I come, so you won't get hurt. Your firstborn won't die. So you're going to trample the wicked, and they shall be ashes underneath the soles of your feet on the day, Hayom, the Bayom, that I do this, says Yahweh Zavaoth. Again, Zavaoth has to do with what? War. Because Yah is pronouncing, he's using one of his greatest weapons on the earth. That's army. That's war. That's army. That's war. He's using one of his hosts to bring about his judgment. He says, I am going to do this. I, Yahweh, says Yahweh, perfectly. Yahweh, it's done. In his mind, it's already done. And guess what? It's probably in the process of happening right now. Yah will bring it about. Like, for example, he'd probably be moving the sun closer to us. One day the sun can move closer to us by what, 5 degrees? Who knows? He can do whatever he wants to do, okay? So he tells us in verse 4 to remember the Torah of Moshe. I need you to remember the instructions. And then he turns around and calls him my servant. Remember this. Remember my servant, Moshe. Remember the instructions, which, okay, the pronoun relative, which he's telling you, these two go together. This chair is right here. Okay. I need you to remember that. Okay. I need you to remember the instructions, which I commanded. What did he command? I commanded what? I commanded the instructions
Of Torah.
Of the Torah, of the instructions. Because if you don't follow my instructions, okay, you're going to get hurt. Listen, I commanded him, Otho, which is Moshe. Okay, I commanded him in Korev. And guess what happened in Korev? What happened? What was Korev? It's called Mount Sinai. And what happened in Sinai?
The fire.
Yes, the fire. Thank you.
Came down.
The fire, it was all around when he came. You understand? On the mountain. And it blazed so hot and fire. Remember, they said, who has ever seen such a thing and lived? Okay. This is the reason why he's telling you to remember. Because when did Yah give Moshe the Torah?
On the day the mountain was on fire.
He gave him the Torah when the mountain was on fire. Yah is not mentioning this right here for no reason. He's telling you, remember when I gave Moshe the instructions, which I commanded. He didn't have to say Korev. He didn't have to say that. But that is a mountain and it was on fire. And this word right here actually means this, a sword. That's what Korev means. It means a sword.
So Sinai means sword?
Yes, because, okay. So when Yah came and he brought, okay, I'm going to show it to you. Man, this is amazing. All right, let's finish up. So Korev is a place of a sword, okay? The word for sword is, okay, it's called Mount Sinai, right? But there's a word, it's called waste, but it comes from Korev. Waste and desolation. In its original text, listen, I want you to see right here. Destroyer.
Oh.
Destroyer. It has to do with the sword, to make desolate. Okay. Now, do you guys remember and I'll bring it up right quick. In the book of Deuteronomy, I think it's either chapter 32 or 30. I'm gonna pull it up right quick. And it's gonna tell you that Yah has a fiery sword. Oh, 33. Okay. Praise the Holy One of Israel. There. Deuteronomy chapter number 33. You guys can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, don't worry, we're gonna get to the Hebrew. I just think this is important for us because that's how we open it up with. Okay. All right. So listen to what it says. I'll read the English and then we'll go into the Hebrew. It says, and this blessing, the Habarakah, which blessed Moshe, the man of Elohim, right? The sons of Israel, before what? Before his death. Okay. Guess what he said? He said, Yahweh from Sinai. Okay. Sinai. That's the mountain where the law was given. And we just saw in Korev that that's the mountain that was given. Okay. That's where it was given. The mountain of Sinai.
All right.
All right. Which I'm looking for right here to tell you this Korev too. Okay, they don't have it. Sometimes they got it, sometimes. Okay. So it's in a mountain of Sinai. Okay. I gave this to you. Okay. The mountain of the law. And came, what? Came and dawned. The word, remember we read the word from Shemesh, it says Zarak. That means to rise. Okay. To come forth and to rise. See that? Zarak means to rise. We just read that in the book of Malachi. It says the sun shall Zarak. It shall rise. Okay. From Seir. This is where Yahweh came from. He rose from Sinai, and from Seir on them shone forth. Okay. Who shone forth on them? We're going to see. From Mount Paran. And he came. Who's the he came? Who's the he? Yahweh.
Yeah, Yahweh.
And he came. Okay. Yahweh came. With how many?
10,000.
Tens of thousands of holy ones. The Kodesh. You see that? When he came to Mount Sinai to give us the law, he came with tens of thousands with him.
When he's, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, when he said tens of thousands, what is he talking about? Locusts, like his armies, or the actual like warriors?
Oh, he's talking about his holy ones, his Kodesh. He's talking about the holy ones, the Malaks, the ones who are set apart. He came with 10,000s of the holy ones with him. Okay. Tens of thousands. Okay. The multitude, the myriads, 10,000s. Okay. Of thousands. He came with. When
wow.
he the Torah. And from his right hand. Okay. And this is true from what I'm seeing right there in the language.
That'd be pretty. I mean, for the follower of Torah, that would be like comforting for I mean, people who refuse to believe Torah, that must be pretty scary, fiery sight to
Yes.
see.
Yes. So listen what it says. He came with a fire. He came with fire, a fiery law. Okay. That's what he came. When he came, that's why it was in fire. He spoke out of the fire. He's coming with fire for them. The Lamo. This is what he came. He came with fire when he brought the Torah for them, to them. It wasn't just him alone. It's with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of holy
Tens of
ones.
thousands.
Tens of thousands. Listen to this. Yes, he loves his people, the people. All the holy ones in your hand, and they sit down at your feet. This is a blessing that he's saying before the Most High. Everyone who receives your words. The ones who sit at Yah's feet are the ones who he considers to be holy. You understand? Listen to this. Now this connects us to Book of Malachi, because this is the last thing he said. Do you know this is the last thing Moshe said before he died? These are the last words that he said before he died. Torah commanded to us, Moshe, a heritage of the congregation of Yaakov. Commanded the instructions to us, Moshe, okay? A heritage of the congregation, the community of Yaakov. And he was in Yeshurun, and Yeshurun is a name for Yaakov, okay? This name right here, Yeshurun, this one right here, it's a name that Yah has given to Israel. It's a nickname.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a nickname. It's a nickname. You know how you give your kids a nickname?
Yep.
Here's the nickname.
Hmm.
It's a poetic name for him. It's a nickname. He says to Israel, to Yashurun, what? You're the upright one. When is that going to happen?
Right now.
Yes, because poetic is the poetic name for Israel, meaning you will become an upright one. I see you as my upright one. I'm making sure you're going to be the one that I called you to be. You're the upright one. It appears 4 times. The other place that it appears right here is right here in Isaiah 44. He says, my servant in whom I chosen, Yeshurun, and you, Yeshurun, I chose you. There's only 4 places where the Most High calls him Yeshurun. Calls him Yeshurun several times in 32 and 33. And then the last one is 44. Okay. Well, listen what he says. And that comes from the root word yashar, means to be upright. Okay. King. And he was who? Yah. Yahweh he is what? King. He's Malek in Yeshurun. There is no other king. And when we were gathered the leaders of the people, when they gathered themselves, okay, the race of the people together, the tribes of Israel, okay, when he gathered, he said he was declared king when they all came together. You understand that? Yah will not be declared king among us until all of us are together. When someone says that he's been declared king, I'll say it again. Verse number 5. And when Yeshurun, when he was in Yeshurun, king, when we were gathered, the leaders of the people together, all the tribes of Israel, that's the end of the sentence. These little two dots right here are the end of the sentence. It's letting you know that I'm done with that sentence. These two dots, they mean that's the end of the sentence. All the tribes, they were yakad, not ikad, yakad, same root, of the people, the leaders, these people of all together. That's when he was what? If you read it from left to right, you read it, Israel's tribes together of the people, the leaders, what? When they were gathered. When they're gathered together, that's when Yah is become, when we're gathered, when they gathered themselves, king in Yeshurun was he.
Well,
You see that?
yes, and it's happening in this country. The Israelis are getting together more and more, waking up. So that means,
Yes.
yeah.
So when
Yeah.
he brings us all back together, and he brings us, then we're gonna when we become Yeshurun.
Yes,
That's the goal. The goal is to make us Yeshurun,
upright.
to make us upright, right? And
Yes.
and when I say to make us upright, what I'm saying is, when we decide that we're going to fall in line with what he's talking about, when we're going to adopt his ways, then that's when things are going to get better for us. Okay.
Mhm.
That's when he'll be declared king among us, is when we're following what he says. Okay.
Yes.
Where we began this study this morning, and we just ended up there because I believe the Most High wanted us to go here to get some understanding. We just found out that Yah says at the end of that time, when that day comes, I'm going to burn everybody up. And the reason why he's going to burn them up is because his law is a fiery law, and it's going to come. And that's why Isaiah says, open up come on down, come down. Why? Because he knows once he comes, then nobody's going to be able to endure. That's why they asked the question, who shall be able to stand when he shows up? Isn't that you guys heard that before? Who shall be able to abide at the day of his coming? Because this is going to be a day where it says even the mountains are going to melt.
It's happening now with earthquakes. And
right? So
yeah.
This day, okay. So in verse 4, he says, remember the law, the Torah, the instructions of Moshe, my servant, my personal, okay, his servant, which I commanded him on the fiery mountain for all Israel, the statutes and the judgments. He wants us to remember these things. Now, somebody tell me, why does he want you to remember the Kukim and the Umishpatim? Why does he want you to remember the statutes and the judgments?
To save us.
I need everybody to be more specific, because this is going to open your mind up, and then you're going to understand what does he mean by him coming to judge the whole entire earth.
He's going to judge us by Torah.
Yes. So one of the first things is what is a kukim? If he's going to, yes, it is a kukim. What is this kukim right here? What is this statute? I'm going to tell you what they are. It's feast days.
Yeah, the 8.
Yes, there's 7 of them. You had it correct. No, but you are right, because there are 8. And you know what the 8th one is?
The final one.
The Shabbat. Shabbat is number 1, and then there's 7 other ones. Shabbat is a kukim. It means it's etched in stone. It's engraved. It won't be changed. It's a decree from the Holy One. So if you forget about this, and that's why he told you to remember. Okay. What's included in the instructions are these things right here.
Why are feasts so important?
Because it's to remember what Yah has done for Israel. Like, for example, the first feast that is the Shabbat, we went over that, right? Mm-hmm. The second feast is what? What happens in the early spring?
Pesach?
Pesach, absolutely. That's Pesach. And what are we supposed to remember about Pesach? What does he tell us why to remember Pesach?
Because he saved us
He saved us on that day.
from the death,
death.
the angel.
He
passed over. I mean, or we passed over the death.
He passed over, and therefore saving Israel and redeeming them and choosing them from among all the peoples on the face of the earth. Okay. What's the third one? What's the next one that comes after that? It's immediately the next day. Starts with.
It's it's not the leaven.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is?
You're absolutely right. It's matzah.
The leavened bread.
And why did he tell them to do matzah? He says, why do I need you to remember matzah?
To get idols and impurities out of our home.
Good, but why else did he tell them to remember it? That's the significance of it. But why did he tell them to remember this time? When did they first have matzah?
When they're in Mitzrayim.
Yeah.
When they left Mitzrayim. They hurried because they didn't have no time to put any leaven inside of their bread.
That's right.
You understand? And matzah means find. So you're right, Forrest, when he talks about, I need you to find any idols and stuff, because they left, right? But they left with idols in their hand. Yah is looking. It means to search. Okay. Okay. So to find or to search or to seek out. So you need to be found. Matzah has to do with remembering. Okay. Remember what I've done for you in Mitzrayim. That's attached to the slavery of Israel. What about the next one? The next first what?
The feast of
first
the fruit barley, the harvest, barley harvest.
Yes, which is called the first fruits. Okay, it's the first fruits. It's the first fruit that came out of the ground. Why do I need you? And guess what? Before they entered the land, it was at that time. They didn't remember. It said they came into at that time where the first fruits came in. Because remember, he didn't feed them any longer with manna. When they went to the land, they went in on the time of the first fruits. Okay. That's the next one. The next one after that is called what? The feast of what?
Shabbat.
Shabbat. Okay, I don't know if I got my spelling right, but it's Shabbat. And Shabbat means what? Shavah means 7. Okay, and 7 and oath. And how do you make a 7 into plural? You make it into weeks. So it's called the Feast of Weeks.
Oh, okay.
And guess what he gave in 7 weeks? You got to count 7 weeks away from the time that you had the matzah. Okay, which equals 49 days. And then on the 50th day, then you have Shavuot. Okay, you understand? So this is 7 sevens. And on the 50th is called what? Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks. You have the feast on this day.
Oh, the Shemitah.
Yes, on the 50th. You understand? So listen to this, so y'all can blow our mind. You got 7 years, right?
Yes.
Yah says every 6 year, you give the land a rest on the 7th year. And after every 7 years, you got 7 times 7 years is 49 years. After every 49 years, you get ready to do the 50th. And what is the 50th?
Shemitah.
Jubilee.
Oh, Jubilee.
Yeah. Your
Shemitah is a 49.
Is within the 7 years because it's 6 and 1. That 1 year that you give it a rest is the Shemitah. Yah says every Shemitah, every 7 years, you're supposed to read the Torah. It together as a family, a congregation. Then he says you work the land for 7 years times 7 years, every 49 years. And then in the 50th year is the year of release. The Jubilee.
Oh, and that's when we need to release the Israel that's been
Yes.
in
Captivity.
captivity.
Remember, he
And
said,
and then the America has not done that for.
and that's because, and here now, let me scare. I don't want to scare you, but let me tell you a truth. Okay. So we got that right. Yah says that I'm going to take you out of the land, and the land is going to get her Shabbats, because you guys can give her Shabbats. You didn't give her the seven times 7 that I told you. You didn't give her 7 times 7 years and release her at the 50th year. You didn't release her. You never gave her a time of release. Okay. You didn't give her this. You didn't give the Shabbat or the land. You didn't give her 50th, her years.
Jubilee, her Jubilee.
You didn't give it to her.
Right.
Okay. So this is a 50-year period. It's called a Jubilee, a time of release. When you're in jail, you get a release date. Okay. This is just Davidology. Okay. I honestly believe that he attached the time of our release to the time of the Shabbats in Leviticus chapter number 26. Because if they did not give the land its 50th every 50 years, and you say, how many times did they do this? Only number that I have is the 400 that he told Abraham. He said, your descendants are going to go into captivity for 400 years. Okay. If you divide that by 50 Jubilees,
It was 6.
there's 8 of them.
Is it 8?
8.
Oh, multiply. So it'd
Yeah,
be
8 times 50 is 400.
yeah, that's correct.
You understand?
Yes.
So and we know why. I was asking, why is it exactly 400 years? Well, this is the only thing I could come up with.
Yes, that makes sense.
Because the Shabbat is about a 50-year release, and they didn't give it.
And this is the 401 year.
Yes, you understand. Well, no, it works this way. The 400 year is not counted until it hits the time of that day. So, for example, I say, year number 1, or just say January, right? As soon as it hits January 2021, you and I would say, this is 2021, correct?
Huh.
Right? We would say that. We're in 2021. Well, 21 is not 21 until it hits 22. Within the 21, there's 12 months that have to be complete in order for it to be done with 2021. For a whole year, 1 year is not, well, when it hits that beginning of that month, okay, and we know that in our months begin in Aviv. That's the beginning of months for Israel.
Are you recording this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
So from 1 year, okay, it's soon as it hits, so like when we so-called hit the 400 year, we thought, okay, we just hit the 400 year, 1619, right? We just hit it. So we should be out of here, right?
No.
Just like it happens with the 49 years of the Jubilee, it says 49, and then in the 50th year, the 50th year is the year of release. And during that whole year, that whole time, from the beginning, from Aviv to Aviv, is the year, but it will not become Aviv until we go through from here all the way over. So if we hit it here 400, this is not the 400. The 400 is everything included from here to here.
Oh, okay.
Because Western mind is different than Eastern mind. A year for us is not when we first come into it. Okay, here's another example. A child, when it's born, right? Soon as it turns 1, it's in its 12th month.
Mhm.
right? It had to
Yeah.
go through 12 months to become one, right? If you
Yeah.
and I have to get to 400, we got to go through all of the 400 to get to 400.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So when
So
people say, oh, well, the time came in 1619, he's not here yet. Here is the operative word. Release. To let go. Our first captivity was them not letting us go, not sending us away. This one is different. You and I we're not, listen, Yah sent us here to be in jail, literally, okay? To be here until we come to a time of release. Every Hebrew slave was released on the 50th year. They had to be released on the 50th, not the 49th. On the 50th year, Jubilee. So anytime you talk about release of something, it's talking about a Yuval, okay? It's talking about a Yuval, which is they call Jubilee, but it's called Yuval, okay? I'll put the B there because it really is, that's what it's spelled out, but it's supposed to be, the sound of it is U, Y, U, and then a V, and then an A, and then an L, okay? Yuval, all right? So that is a time of getting released and set free from your captivity. Okay. So if anybody's going to be, because he says, listen, remember what he says. I know I'm jumping, but I have to show it to you. Do you remember what he says? He says, when you're paid back for what the crimes that you've committed, then I'm going to come and get you. When you pay Shalom, one of my favorite words. Okay. When you're paid back, then I'm going to come and get you. What does it say? Let's keep it in. Well, verse number 36 or 37. Okay. You start in 36. It says this. And as for those who are left of you, I will send faintness into their hearts in the lands of their enemies. Next line. And I will cause to flee them at the sound of a leaf when it shakes. They will flee even though, as though they're fleeing from what? Remember I told you what that word was?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Rahab.
That mountain, Mount Korev. Okay.
Yeah.
The vowel points, but it means a sword. Okay. And they shall fall because Yah is chasing Israel out with the sword because of what they're breaking the commandments. Okay. They shall fall when no one pursues them. Okay. They shall stumble when over one another before a sword. Again, another sword, right? When pursuers of no one and no one and no shall have you stand before your enemies, meaning that no one shall be able to stand before their enemies. You're not going to have any power at all. Okay. None. You're not going to have any power over your enemies. Okay. 38. And you shall perish among the nations. Right. And they shall eat you up, the land of your enemies, meaning they're going to devour you, your taxes. You don't feel like you can ever come up because every time you get something, they take it away from you. That's called being devoured. And those who are left of you shall waste away in their iniquity, right? In your wonam, meaning the iniquity that you get in the lands of your enemies. So your transgressions, and because you know what you're doing, you're just going to keep dying. You're just going to keep going through it. Also, the iniquities of their fathers. Okay. So they're not only dying from their own transgressions, but the ones that their fathers were committing, they too will also have those same experiences. And also the iniquities, their fathers, which are with them, okay, they shall waste away, okay? So what is it telling us? It's telling us that if you and I don't get our act together, we're going to die just like our ancestors. We're going to pine away in our own transgressions. If we don't understand Yah's laws and his statutes and his commandments, we're done. You're done. You're finished. Okay. But here it says, if they confess, okay, if they confess, and what does it mean to confess? What does it mean? Listen, if they confess. So what does it mean? Huh?
They're asking for forgiveness and
Yeah.
realize what they have done.
Okay, so let me break
Forgiveness.
this. Yes, forgiveness. Right. Listen. So here it is. The word in here is to understand, is to know. It's called yada, and I'm going to show it to you. Yada, confess, has something to do with the hands. Okay. The verb tense that they're using is called a hitpael. Okay. A hitpael is reflexive. It means that not only the act, they're not only doing the action, but they're causing the action to be upon themselves. Okay, so you could be active, you doing something, and then passive, something is being done on you. Okay, so this is called a hitpael, meaning they're both doing the action and causing the action to happen upon themselves. So I know that this word is yada. I know that. Okay, just from the number at the top, the 3034 tells me it's yada, and guess what? It's yada. Okay, yada means to cast and to throw. To cast and to throw what? Your hands. Because a yad, as you know, look at our Hebrew coming in here. Praise the Holy One of Israel. How do you say hand in Hebrew?
Yeah.
Yad. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yad.
Wow.
That's your hand. And guess what? I'm going to make it out to the word now called yah. Da. Okay. So what you're doing is, and why is it feminine? Because that's a why did he feminize it?
I got the easy.
Huh?
Because it's a spirit.
Yeah, think about this. Every soul of a human being is feminine.
Mm.
It's female. So you guys on right now, you think, oh, well, you know, women are different. Yeah, they are, only in their bodies, but our souls are all feminine. Okay. We have the feminine nefeshka. Okay. So when he talks about yada, yada means to know. And your yad is your hand. Okay. That's what your yad is. So what he wants you to do is he wants you to take your hand. Okay. And he wants you to do something with it. What can you do with your hand or your hands?
There's
To
a whole
give and
lot.
to receive, yeah.
Look at that. What does it mean? I'm putting on it.
They praise, confess, raise up, hold, grab, punch, throw.
Mm-hmm.
Why use your hand to shoot, right? Use your hand to shoot what? What do you
Shoot arrows.
The arrow from a what?
From bow and arrow.
What do you use to shoot an arrow?
Quiver.
A quiver, which is a bow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct? You put the arrow right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you push it back against that and you pull it, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
You got that? I'm going to show you guys something. And you push this bow back and you pull it all the way back here and then you shoot the arrow. Okay? To what? To a target. Correct?
Uh-huh.
You guys follow me?
Yes.
All right. Do you want to know what this word shoot in Hebrew means?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yahweh. Okay. And guess what Yahweh means? The
Shoot.
fear.
Mm.
Okay.
Fear.
I'm about to tie it up for you right quick. Okay. I'm about to show you something. I want everybody to pay very careful attention to what I'm telling you. You got to use your hand to shoot an arrow, right?
Mhm.
All right. That's all I want you to remember. Just remember that you got to use your hand to shoot an arrow. Correct?
Yes.
All right. Remind me we're at this place because where we're going. Yeah, I want me to go somewhere else. He wants to show you what he's talking about. Malachi. Go back to Malachi again. Yah told us to remember what? What did he tell us to remember? You guys forgot?
His laws or his instructions.
Commandments.
He told us to remember what? The instructions.
Oh, yeah.
He
Okay.
told us to remember. Okay. This is what you need to remember. Okay. I'm going to push there right quick. 8451. Okay. Come on.
The feast.
Come on. Don't fail me now.
Right.
This is called Torah, correct? Come on, you
Yes.
guys. I want you to say what it is.
Instruction law.
You see what it
Yes.
says? What is it? What's this word that I just underlined?
Direction,
And
instruction.
you got law. Okay. What do you think direction is for?
To follow.
Right. But I'm going to show you something else what it means. Direction is kind of like pointing an arrow, correct?
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
To find the target.
To find a target.
Yeah. That's what sin is. You just missing the target.
Oh, no, yeah, I know you there. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll give it away.
Oh,
Now,
that's-
I told you that's what Torah means, right? Right? Teaching. Correct?
Mhm.
Everybody with me?
Yes.
Teachings. And it has to do with what? Direction. You feel me?
Mhm.
Now, let me show you something.
Oh.
I'm about to show you something now. I told you it comes from the word Yerah. I put
Wow.
Yahweh, but it's Yerah. Okay. So here's what Yerah means. Okay. Yerah means what?
Fear.
No.
Mm.
You were close. That's Yahweh. I thought I made a mistake. It's Yerah. I put an A on it. Here you go. What does it mean?
Yeah.
It means to point or aim in the direction of Torah.
Okay. So from what we have here, remember Yah told us to confess. And confess is Yada. Okay. You understand? Confess is to remember, for your hands to throw. Remember? Remember that to throw or to shoot?
Okay.
So confessing is to throw or to shoot and Yada. But Yahweh is, right? Yahweh means to shoot, which came from the root Yada. I mean, Yerah, or excuse me, Yerah. Yerah means to use to go in a direction. So you to throw or to shoot what? An arrow or a knife or something towards a target, like Kent said. Okay. Right. So what Yah's trying to tell us is that confession, right? So you got to use your hands.
Mhm.
You're using your hands and Yada to know, to confess. Okay. So the idea of Torah is to be an archer. The idea of following Torah means to be instructed in learning how to shoot. The idea of Torah is to instruct others how to shoot. The idea of Torah is to point someone in a direction to learn how to shoot in that direction. The idea of Torah is the rain that comes down that shoots down in certain directions. Some rain goes this way, and then some rain shoots in some other direction. They go in direction. If you know, the rain can be bent towards wherever it needs to go. The idea of Torah is to teach someone, okay? To be a teacher, to be an instructor. Now, what is it that he told us to do? He says confess, like we were over there. He said if they confess. And we said confess means yada, means your hands, meaning the throw. Okay? Let me make the connection for you. Do you know that your mouth is a bow? And it's turned upside down.
Wow.
Hmm.
And what you do is you're supposed to take an arrow from your mouth as a bow and shoot it in a certain direction. Like you take right here, if you're aiming, you take your bow, you put the arrow, you put it right here, and you pull it all the way back to where you need to, and then you shoot it. So the idea is
pretty much your tongue there.
our mouths
Oh my goodness.
are supposed to speak Yahweh's words. And when you speak his words, you'll be shooting straight and you'll hit the target that Kent's been talking about. Sin is missing the mark. It's the mark, the bullseye. So when you and I are talking and we're executing judgment and righteousness and forgive my target, when we're supposed to shoot towards this target, Yah says, if you're not allowing me to instruct you, then the words that are coming out your mouth is going to miss every single time. You understand? Your lips is the bow. You understand? Your mouth is what shoots the arrows. You can either kill someone with it or you can hit the target. Y'all saying this, I want you to hit this part right here. It's called righteousness. That's righteousness. That's where I want you to hit. And if you allow me to teach you, you're going to always do that which is right. You're always going to do that which is right if you're hitting the right target. And what I'm trying to do with you is I'm trying to teach you how to use your mouth, because that's where your arrows are coming from. You can live. This is why he doesn't want us to hate anyone, because if you hate someone, you're using your mouth, not what he told you. You're missing the mark of righteousness. You're missing this. Righteousness has to be taught. Righteousness is not, I just want to be righteous and I just claim it. Righteousness is knowing where to point, how to be instructed, where to shoot. You understand? So Yah has been trying to get us because we're part of Yahweh's what? We're part of his army. We're his soldiers. That's what you and I have been called to do. We've been called to destroy people with the Torah. And he says, if you're going to talk to somebody, I want you to shoot them directly where I tell you, in their heart, with the Torah. So when Yah tells us to make a confession, okay, he's telling us to use our mouth, shoot the right words towards me and hit the mark that I told you. Don't come to me and try to shoot where I told you not to shoot. If you would allow me to teach you, okay, and we'll go back to the Leviticus that tells you why I'm asking you to shoot straight with me. It's not a confession of just throwing your hands, it's using your mouth to lead your hands into the right place. You don't perform any actions with your hands until you start thinking about what you need to do. Our hands and our members are only used to execute that which the mind has already thought about. So if you're already thinking, I hate somebody, that's what's going to cause your hand to kill them. If hatred is already in your heart. So when they talk about, well, in the New Testament, Yeshua came to teach us how not to hate, to give us more understanding. No, that's for the Greeks and the Romans. Yah has already taught Israel what it is to hate and why not to hate. Does everybody see what I'm showing you?
Mm-hmm.
It's confession with the mouth, but the hand is what he's asking you to do. lift your hands up. Hallelujah. Lift your hands up and take your bow and your arrow and shoot the arrow where I told you. But you won't ever get that if you don't let him instruct you. He has to give us instructions. You and I have to remember what Yah said, because if we don't remember what he says, then we're not shooting straight. We're not shooting straight. Praise the Holy One of Israel.
And also, you have to be Yeshurun to shoot straight too, right?
Yes, because upright doesn't mean just up, standing upright. It means shooting straight. Righteousness means walking straight. Now, if you had a bow and arrow in your hand and you're leaning to the left, in which you're walking in the wrong direction, it all goes hand in hand.
Right.
You got to have your position, your feet right, and your hands right in order to shoot straight.
Right. Posture, yeah.
God's telling you, yes. Even when you sing, you have to have your posture. When you sing, you have to be in the right posture. When I blow the shofar, I can't be bending over to the left or to the right, or my throat up. I got to be at a certain spot in order for it to work. So what he's saying to us is, if you guys are going to do anything, if you're going to confess and you're going to shoot straight with me, then I'm going to come and talk to you. But if they confess, if they yada, if they acknowledge with their mouth, shoot straight, it confess what? Your iniquity. What's iniquity?
Your shortcomings, or
yeah. Okay. The idea of not doing what you're supposed to have done. The idea of saying, I haven't done what I'm supposed to have done, meaning I didn't take the bow and arrow and I wasn't shooting where you told me to shoot. I'm going against what you said. And you need to say that your ancestors weren't shooting straight either. My forefathers they didn't teach me how to use the bow and arrow, which is my mouth, which is the words that come out of my mouth. They taught me how to speak, how to cuss, how to scream, how to holler, how to argue, how to hate, how to slander. They taught me how to do that. That's what I was taught. I don't know about you. Through their behavior, in their actions, in the things that happen in their hand. And look what he says. And their unfaithfulness. To what? To the teaching. They didn't want to be taught. Unfaithfulness in which what? They were unfaithful. Unfaithful to what? To the teaching. I've told you that this is what I wanted for you. I need you to be my archers. I need you to shoot straight. I need you to show justice. I need you to show mercy. I need you not to oppress. I need you to love the stranger and the foreigner. I need you to take care of the widow and the stranger. I need you to love the fatherless. I need you to feed the poor, because those people are among you and they're my people. And I asked you to take care of them, and you decided that you didn't want to. I asked you to release them after 6 years, but you wouldn't release them. You would not liberate them, and they're my people. They live in my land, and I gave you responsibility over them, and you wouldn't do what I told you. And you walked against me, contrary to what I told you. I instructed you, but you wouldn't listen to me. Also, I'm going to let you know that not only did they walk against me, but because they walked against me, I have walked against them. I'm going against them. Contrary. And this is the reason why that I brought you and them into the land of your enemies. I'm doing that to show you, to bring you to a point where you can confess, where you start shooting straight with me, where you pick up the bow that I put in your hand and start shooting at the target that I told you, which is righteousness. Then after you learn how to do that efficiently, then you can teach others. And we can rid the world of unrighteousness and wickedness.
Yeah.
If they do this, then it's always going to be an if and then. If you're humbled and you humble your hearts, your uncircumcised hearts, your mind that just doesn't want to be clear, your mind that just wants to be covered. I need to uncover your brain so you can start thinking. Then they will accept their guilt. Accept your guilt. Confess it. Accept it. Acknowledge that you went against me. If we don't acknowledge that we went against Yah, and we don't acknowledge that our ancestors went against Yah and that they're going against him right now, then the relationship is going to always be strained. And it can't continue. It can't, listen, a marriage cannot continue under stress. You can't keep cheating on your wife or your husband and think everything is going to be okay. It's not okay. A child cannot continue to disrespect and disobey their parents without any consequences. There comes a time when it all has to end. It can't, this world cannot continue down the path that has been going down for this last several hundreds of years. It can't. Society cannot sustain what's going on right now. How long do you think we can last without nobody having a job or paying taxes or loving each other or homeless people all over the place? How long do you think this is sustainable? It's not. 42. He told us to remember in the book of Malachi. He says this, then I will remember. If they confess, I will remember the directed marker, the covenant, my covenant. That's what that my is, that yod right there. My covenant. Not, and guess what people call it? They call it the Old Testament.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember the so-called Old Testament. I'm going to remember what other people don't want to remember. I'm going to remember what I said to Yaakov. I'm going to remember what I said to him. I'm not going to remember what I said to Christ. I'm going to remember what I said to Yaakov when they're in the lands of their enemies. And if they confess their guilt, you hear nothing about anybody dying on anybody's behalf. All you hear is about us humbling ourselves. And I'm going to also remember the covenant that I made with Yitzchak. I'm going to remember my covenant with him. And I'm going to remember my covenant with Abraham, which is in the Torah. These individuals that I just mentioned are the forefathers of the house of Israel. He says, I will remember. I will remember. I will. Future tense. Because it's imperfect right here. Why is it imperfect? Because until they accept their guilt. Not somebody died for you, not somebody to take responsibility for you, not for you to walk away like nothing ever happened. Not how could you take on another covenant with another person or another God and you never acknowledge what you did to the Most High? Why is he remembering Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? Because they're our ancestors. So if you want to remember the blessings that you get from Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the covenants that were with them, then you have to remember that Yah says that you have to remember what your ancestors did. You got to remember the covenant I made with them. I'm remembering my covenant I made with these guys. You need to remember the covenant that I made with your forefathers. Because believe it or not, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, you're from them. You're the tree. You're the seed that came from that plant. And I will remember the land. I'm not trying to send you to heaven. I'm going to remember the land because the covenants that I made with your father, Abraham, and Yitzchak, and Yaakov had to do with land. And you people don't want it, Israel. You don't want the land. You want heaven. You want to fly around with angels, but you don't want the land. It's the most beautiful land of all lands, but you don't want the land. Because if you wanted the land, you would do what I said. Because if you don't do what I say, I'm putting you out of the land. The land will be left empty by them, who? The house of Israel, and will enjoy, she is going to enjoy her Shabbats. It tells you right there. Shabbatot. She's going to enjoy her Shabbats. So what are you telling me? You're telling me that she has the land, she has Shabbats, she has to enjoy it? You mean Yah doesn't just care about human beings, but he actually cares about the land? He cares about the land. He honors the land. He honors the animals. He honors the fruits. He honors the vegetables. That's why he wants the tenth and the tithe of the land. He wants the first fruits to come out of her. Just like he wants the first fruit to come out of a woman, he wants the first fruit to come out of the land. It belongs to him. Because if it wasn't from him, well, we know that we saw the rain. If you don't have no rain, you don't have no produce. You have no, I don't care if you have seed, you can put seed in the ground, but if it's nothing to give it its energy, it's done. She is going to enjoy like you and I right now. She has to enjoy, celebrate her Shabbats. So when you and I are not there right now, it's not because Yah just doesn't want us there. It's simply because the land has to go and get what she's paid, what she's supposed to be paid back for. While it lies desolate, her, she, without them, as they will accept their guilt. Okay? So this is when we're going to accept our guilt. Supposed to accept it. We will accept and they will accept their guilt. When what? When she's enjoying her Shabbats. Why? Because my judgments they despised. This is the reason why. This is the reason why we're here. We didn't want to do what he said. We don't want to do this. Judgments are called rulings. They're the rules on how to live. You know, I get into with you, Forrest. Me and you don't supposed to hate each other. We're supposed to go find out and say what? What did Yah say? I did something. I got Samiyah did business deal with me, and I found out that I didn't pay her what I was supposed to pay her. As soon as I find out, I go, what are the rules? Yah says, here's the rules to make it right with Samiyah. Follow what the rules of the land are, because you're my people, Yesharun. But they didn't want his rules. They despised Yah's judgments. They hated his rulings. Why? Because they couldn't get over on nobody. They had to do what they didn't want to do. It wasn't in their heart to do. And did they only hate? They hate his judgments, but they also despised and abhorred his statutes. We hate the Kukim. We hate the Shabbats. We hate the Moedims. We hate bringing an offering to Yahweh. We hate Pesach. Why do we got to do this every year? Why do I got to go in the house and remove the matzah? Why? What is this about? We moved past that. That's old. He delivered us, so what? We're done. We don't have to teach our children anymore. It's over. That's in the old. That's the old way. That's the ancient way. We don't have to follow that. Their souls, the very being of them, abhorred Yah's statutes. Bring me the first fruits. Hate it. Why bring him the first fruits? Why do we got to give him our first animal? It's ours. This is my lamb. It's mine. Why I got to give it to him? Huh? Why I got to give him my firstborn? Why I got to dedicate? Why do I have to go through this cleansing ceremony? Why do I got to break this earthen vessel because an unclean insect went in it? He told me to break it. That's my favorite bowl. Why do I see a God covered in gold and silver? Why can't I just melt the gold off of it and keep the gold? Because Yah said it's detestable in his sight. They don't want that. And yet, for all this, after everything they've done in 44, for all this that they have done, when they are in the land of their enemies, now this should give you a timeline and a time frame to tell you and I that you are in the land of your enemies when you're supposed to humble yourself. You're in the land of your enemies. That's where you're supposed to confess your guilt and start shooting straight. When you're in the land of your enemies.
Mhm.
Okay? Not anywhere else. That what? Not will I cast them away. I'm not going to do to them what they did to me. I'm not going to, nor will I abhor them. I'm not going to abhor them. To what? Utterly destroy them. I'm not going to destroy them. I could, but I'm not going to. And guess why? I'm not going to break my covenant with them. I'm not breaking my covenant. I'm not getting rid of what they call the Old Testament. I'm not breaking my covenant with them. Oh, what covenant? The covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov? That's not the covenant I'm talking about, because them who I'm talking about right now is the people that abhorred my law, statutes, and commandments. I'm not going to break my covenant with them, because Abraham did not break my law, statutes, and commandments. And you can read that in Genesis 26, verse 5. He did everything that Yah told him to do. He ain't talking about Yitzchak. He's talking about Yaakov. He's talking about our fathers who were in the wilderness. I'm not going to break my covenant, for I am Yahweh. I'm not going to break my covenant, for I am Yahweh, their Elohim. I am telling you that I am their Elohim. I'm not breaking, because guess what, folks? If I break the covenant that I made with them, I'm telling them that I will no longer be your Elohim. If I utterly destroy them, I'm not going to, and I break my covenant with them, then they're not my people anymore. And I will not fulfill what I told Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, what I said, and I will not be able to tell the land what I promised her. I promised her that I was going to bring her children back to her. I promised her that I was going to put righteous people back in the land. I promised her. I got promises that I keep. And all I want you to do is remember what I said. But I will remember. I, Yahweh, will remember for their sake the covenant of their ancestors. The people who broke his laws, the people who abhorred him, the people who despised the Holy One. I will remember for their sake the covenant of their ancestors, just for the sake of their ancestors. And he's going to tell us who these ancestors are, so you won't get it confused to think it's Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Whom, relative pronoun, who what? He's going to tell you who it is. He's going to point it and tie it up and tell you what? The ones that I, Yahweh, brought out them out of the land of Mitzrayim in the sight, in the eyes of all the nations. I'm going to remember those people. I'm going to remember the covenant that everyone around you is calling old when they're in the land of their enemies. There's no mention of no other Savior. There is no mention of the death of anybody. All he's asking for you and I to do is humble ourselves and to remember the Torah of Moshe, which includes the Mishpatim and the Kukim, which is the Shabbat. When he tells you and I to remember this, he's saying, do what I told you to do on that day. Let me instruct you so you'll learn how to shoot straight, so you won't miss the mark. So when I show up, you won't be guilty. Oh, you better hear what I'm saying today. I'm going to do this in the sight of the nations. I did it in the sight of the nations. When I did it in the sight of the nations, when I did it in the sight of nations, that I might be their Elohim. That's why I did it in the sight of the nations. That's why I did it in front of them. I did it in the eyes of these people. Do you understand? I did this in the sight of the nations. Why? That I might be their Elohim. When I did this, I wanted them to know, and this word right here, liloth, means to exist. I did this so I can exist as an Elohim to Israel. I exist. I wanted to exist. I wanted to exist. I love the children of Israel. I chose you. I want to exist as their Elohim. That's why I did it. I chose you. You didn't choose me. You were in bondage. I, Yahweh, chose you. I did this so I could be their Elohim in the sight of the nations. I wanted to be, I am Yahweh. Why does he say I'm Yahweh? I'm Yahweh because I'm the one who delivered you. I'm the self-existing one. I'm the one who brought you out from the nations. I need you to remember what I said. I don't care about what nobody else is talking about. If they didn't deliver you, you shouldn't be listening to them. These are the statutes. These are the rulings and the judgments and laws, the instructions. They all go together. All of these go together. You can't have one without the other. So my question is once someone's telling me about the New Testament, I just want you to tell me, where are all these being talked about? Where's all this together? You tell me that it's a law, but you don't ever tell me about the judgments. You never tell me about the statutes. You never tell me to remember what Yah said, which Yahweh had made. These things, these are the rulings and the statutes and the judgments and instructions which Yahweh gave, not just made. This word here, made, is not accurate. Gave. The time is to give or to put or to place. Prove it. I'll prove it. I didn't make that. I gave it to you. I set it in front of you. I gave it to you. I put it in front of you. I set it in front of you. I put that in front of you. I didn't put nothing else in front of you. I put this in front of you. It's the only thing I ever put in front of you. I didn't put no other writings in front of you. Nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing I want you to remember. In the sons of Israel on Mount Sinai, by the hand of Moshe. This is what we're talking about. This is what Yah is talking about. He's trying to get us to understand. And even if you look at Leviticus chapter number 26, when he first started talking about these are the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, he's telling them, look, you didn't let the land, have her Shabbats.
Yeah.
You didn't let her have the Shabbats. This whole chapter right here is about them doing something to the land and by their actions and their behavior and their conduct. Okay, so I want to tell you what he says. You shall not make for yourselves idols, neither carve images, pillars, nor you shall rear up for yourselves and even stoned or engraved. You shall not set in your land to bow down to it, for I am Yahweh, your Elohim. My Sabbaths, which are the Kukims, people. My Sabbaths, they're not yours, they're mine. You shall guard, that means keep. My sanctuary, you shall revere. They didn't do that. They didn't do what he said. I am Yahweh. That's who I am. That's my name. I'm Yahweh. He says, that's the name you're going to know me by. That's who I am forever. If you walk in my statutes and in my mitzvot, my commandments, and you shall guard and perform them, if you do these things, verse 4, then I will give you the same word that we saw that he gave us the Torahs, the laws, instructions, put, place, and give. I will give you rain in its season. If you what? If you keep my statutes and walk in my commandments and perform what I told you. So all this goes together with the land. Rain is given for the land. Yah will give it and it will yield its produce, but it won't do that if you don't walk in his laws, his statutes, and commandments. Well, ACKI'KA David, we're not in the land, and we don't have to worry about the rain. Right now, we're being fed by Safeway and Costco, and we live in another land. So should we keep the laws, the statutes, and the commandments and the Sabbaths? What do you think? As we read later on in the chapter, we find out that there is punishment for not doing what he says. This is the reason why he did what he did to the land. As a result of when he did this to the land, guess who got hurt in the process? Not just Israel. Who got hurt? Who was injured? Who's injured by us not keeping the Kukim and the Shabbats and everything and not getting any water?
Everyone.
The land got punished.
Animals, the land,
Everybody
the crops, the animal.
Everything suffered. Do you understand the magnitude of what responsibility that you and I have to the Holy One of Israel? If we do not do what he says, everybody's going to die and suffer. If that's not enough for you to want to change your ways and repent and confess, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. You and I are the light of this world. If we do not change and we do not learn and follow the instructions of the Holy One of Israel, he says, I am going to wipe the whole entire earth. Done. And that's what we opened our lesson on today. We opened our lesson with this. He said this. He said, remember the Torah of Moshe, my servant, which I commanded him in Koreh for all Israel. Everybody in Israel, for what? For the judgments and for the statutes that we just talked about. That is the Torah. It is inclusive of everything here. All this is included. This is all the instructions on how to perform that which Yahweh told us. Okay. If you remember, he says, this is what I want you to remember in that great, terrible day before I come back. Because that's how we open this chapter I'm talking about. He says, behold, look, because that's what it means to look. I am sending. That is a participle right here. I am, not I will send. I'm sending to you, Eliyahu. Now, what does Eliyahu's name mean? I'm going to break it down for you. Two things. The first part of his name is El. That means power, means Elohim, the powerful one. The next one is called Yah. That's the other part of his name. So what is it saying? If you read, we read it from this direction in Hebrew called Eliyah, okay? I forgot that yod there. Eli means my Elohim, my Yah, my Elo, my power. So it's Yah is my power. Yah is, remember his contention with the children of Israel was, who is Elohim? Is it this guy? Where's your God versus Elohim? Who's the Elohim? So when Eliyahu comes, his is to settle the controversy. Like he did. Do you remember he settled the controversy? Said how long you'll be between two opinions? And what did he call down from heaven? What did he call down from heaven? To prove, thank you. He called down fire. Now, do you see when it said in verse number 1 that the day is going to bake like an oven? And when that day comes, the wicked are going to be ashes underneath your feet. because when he comes, he's going to make a declaration, and he's going to be able to call down fire from heaven. Okay. To prove he's the prophet of Yah, to prove before the faces. That's what lafanat before means. They got in there as a grammatical, preposition, right? But the word before means face. That's what it means. I'm going to show it to you. Okay, so you say, well, how we know is he talking about? I only know this because I'm on Bible Hub and I press it and I read it, just like you can too. Is the face. So the word before means faces, because that's what panam means. That's what it means. Panim, it means faces. And what does it mean to be before the faces? It means to be in front of someone, to see, right? So that's why it says behold, because he's telling you to behold. To behold to what? Look. The behold means look. Look at what? Look at Eliyahu before your face. The faces of people. He's coming. The day of Yahweh. The day he's coming in this day, in this particular day, the great and dreadful day. Okay. So what is he trying to tell you and I? I'm going to explain it to you. Yah is saying the day, on this day here, this Yom, this man is coming. He'll be the one who shows up. And on that day, that's the day that is going to be judged. I want you to understand what I just told you. Eliyahu came to what? To settle a conversation, a controversy. There was a controversy about who was God. Who's El? Is it the prophets of Baal? Baal? Is it Baal? Remember, he says, is it Baal? And let's go there right quick, because I want you to get this, because this is, and I'm going to be honest with you, I really strongly feel that the Most High is trying to give us some information right now. He's trying to tell us what time it is. It's going to be in 1 Kings and let me look it up right quick, guys. Sorry for the delay in what I'm saying, but it's important. If anybody offhand knows where it's at and what part of Kings, I will be grateful to know. But I'm going to look it up right quick, because I need to show this to you, because it'll put the pieces together for us, okay? So it's going to tell me exactly where it's at. It's going to tell me what the scripture is at. All right, so 2 Kings. Let me see. Let me clear this out right quick. Yeah. Yeah. All right. There you go. All right. So here we go. It's 1 Kings chapter number 18. All right. So we're going to go there right quick, and I'm going to show you what Yah says. All right. And I have to show it to you in the Hebrew, because if I don't show it to you in the Hebrew, then you're going to be like, okay, well, that just says that. But we want to be clear about what he's saying and who he's saying it to. Okay. We want to verify what it is that he's saying. Okay. Because we have to know this, because it's going to tell you what the story is. It's going to let you know what it is. Okay. He confronts him. Okay. I want to talk about the chapter number 18. Okay. So this episode is called Elijah on Mount Carmel. Okay. And so what it was is that it came to pass. So when Obadiah to meet Ahab and told him, and he went to him, and he went to meet Eliyahu. And it came to pass when he saw Ahab, Elijah, that Ahab to him, or said to him, this troubler of Israel, You know, this is the trouble of Israel. This is difficult because I'm reading from right to left instead of reading Hebrew, and that's making me confused. So let's just go and do it this other way. So we can all get an understanding. And then when I come to the word that I want, I'll just go there. All right. Because I'm reading a story, but I don't want to read it to where it's confusing. And I want everyone to be able to follow along and get what is being said, because it's going to help you. This is going to tell you what the plan is, and then you'll know how you should proceed. Okay. Okay. So Obadiah, verse number 16, Obadiah went out and he found Akav, and he told him. Akav went out to meet Eliyahu. When Akav saw Eliyahu, Akav said to him, "Is it really you, you troubler of Israel?" He answered, "I haven't troubled Israel. You have, you and your father's house, by abandoning Yahweh's mitzvot, his commandments, and following Balalim, meaning other gods." Okay. Now, order all Israel to assemble before me on Mount Carmel, along with 450 prophets of Baal. Now, Baal right here, you guys, is a name for a character called Lord. That's what Baal is. That's what his name is in English. Lord. And you guys know who's called Lord all the time. Okay. So I need you to go gather the 450 prophets of the Lord and the 400 prophets of the Asherah who eat at Isabel's, which is Jezebel's table. Okay. So Akav sent word to all the people of Israel, and he assembled the prophets together on Mount Carmel. Eliyahu stepped forward before the people and said, "How long are you going to jump back and forth?" Okay. So you're jumping back and forth between two positions. Now, what do you think those two positions are?
The Old and New, so-called Old and New Testament.
Yes. Between
different churches.
Who's Lord, and who's God, right? So this is the controversy. So he says, how long are you going to jump between? How long are you going to do this? Right? He says, if Yahweh is Elohim, because that's the question. Is Yahweh Elohim or is Christ Elohim? Is Yahweh Elohim or is the God of the New Testament Elohim? He said, if Yahweh is Elohim, follow him. But if Lord is, then follow him. The people answered him not a word. Nobody said nothing. You know how when you start talking to people, they get dumb on you? This is what happened. Eliyahu said to the people, if I alone am the only prophet of Yahweh who is left. I'm the only one. And he's talking to northern Israel. I am the only prophet of Yahweh who is left, while Baal's prophets number 450. Let them give us 2 young bulls, and they can choose the bull they want for themselves. Then let them cut it in pieces and lay it on the wood and put no fire under it. I will prepare the other bull, lay it on the wood, and put no fire under it. Then you will call on the name of your God, which is Lord, and I will call on the name of Yahweh. And the Elohim, the powerful one who answers with fire, let him be Elohim. Okay? And all the people answered, good idea. And they agreed. Okay? Then Eliyahu said to the prophets of Baal, choose one bull for yourselves and prepare it first, because there are many of you. Then call on the name of your God and put no fire underneath it. They took the bull that was given to him, prepared it, and called on the name of Baal, which is Lord, from morning till noon, 6 hours. Baal, answer us. But no voice was heard. No one answered, as they jumped around on the altar that they made, like, an altar call at church. Around noon, Eliyahu began ridiculing them. Shout louder. After all, he is a god, isn't he? Maybe he's daydreaming or implying that he's a man. There's only a man can daydream. He's on the potty, or is he on the potty? Only a man can sit on the potty. Or is he away on a trip? Maybe he's asleep. You know, maybe he's asleep in a ship when the waves are roaring. You know, you have to wake him up. So they shouted louder and louder, and they slashed themselves with swords and knives as their custom was, until blood gushed all over them. You know, like if you don't have the blood of Christ, then you know that's the ritual of Christianity is shedding blood. But now it was afternoon, and they went on ranting and raving until the time was for the evening offering. So it went for 12 hours because the evening is a rev. But no voice came. No one answered. No one paid attention. Then Eliyahu said to all the people of Israel, come here to me. All the people came to him as he set about repairing the altar of Yahweh that had been broken down. Eliyahu took 12 stones, in keeping with the number of the tribes of the sons of Israel, to whom the word of Yahweh had come, saying, your name is to be Yisrael. With the stones, he built an altar in the name of Yahweh. Then he dug a trench around the altar large enough for a half a bushel of grain. He arranged the wood. He cut up the bull and laid it on the wood. Then he said, fill 4 pots of water and pour it on the burnt offering on the wood. They did it. Do it again. They did it again. Do it a third time. And they did it a third time. Why was it 3 times with 4 gallons? Because it was 4 times 3 is 12. 12 tribes of Israel. But now the water was flowing around the altar, and it filled the trench. Then when it came time for the offering, the evening offering, Eliyahu the prophet approached and said, Yahweh, Elohim of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, let it be known today that you are Elohim in Yisrael, and at that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word, your command. Hear me, O Yahweh, hear me, so this people may know that you, Yahweh, are Elohim, and that you are turning their hearts back to you. Then the fire of Yahweh fell. It consumed the burnt offering, the wood, the stones, and the dust. It licked up the water in the trench. When all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and said, Yahweh is Elohim. Yahweh is Elohim. Eliyahu said to them, seize the prophets of the Lord. Don't let any one of them escape. They seized them, and Eliyahu brought them down to the valley of Kishon, and he killed them there. Then Eliyahu said to ACKI'KA, get up, eat and drink, because I hear a sound of heavy rain. Now listen to me, folks. Listen to me carefully. God says that he is going to send Eliyahu before his great day. The reason why he's sending him on that day, not before, but on that literal day, is to make the declaration that he just did, to prove that Yah is Elohim. That's why he's doing everything that he's doing. That's why he sent Israel along with our disrespect to him to the nations. So when he does this, he can declare before the whole world that he is Elohim. Okay. So
future tense.
Yes, behold, I am sending to you Eliyahu the prophet. He's coming on that day of Yahweh is great and dreadful. What did it just say? What did Eliyahu just tell us? To do what? Listen carefully what he just said. He said this. Hear me, Yahweh, so the people may know that you, Yahweh, are Elohim, and that you are turning their hearts back to you. Now listen to this connection. And he will turn what?
The heart.
I'm going to turn their hearts of the fathers to the sons. Okay? You know why he's going to turn the hearts of the fathers to the sons? Because on that great and terrible day, everybody's going to get along. There won't be a father and a son that's not getting along that day. I'm going to turn the hearts of the sons and the daughters, because sons inclusive of daughters as well. Because when you talk about sons, you are talking about daughters as well. Because when you talk about the whole house of Israel, they're included because they're masculine dominant. Okay. I'm going to take the hearts of the fathers and bring them to the sons. I'm going to take the hearts of the sons and turn it back to the fathers. Why? And this is going to end on this. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Yah says, and I want you to see it. Pain. Lest, okay, it's a conjugation, okay? Lest or beware, lest I come. This I is the aleph, okay? Lest I, Yah's talking, I, okay? Imperfect, because if a letter's on the front of a word, it's imperfect. Remember, you got the root. The root there is bo, okay? Lest I will, okay? I will come imperfect. I will come and strike. The and right there is the wa, which is your Hebrew lesson. And then hikathi, okay? The I here is this tav right here. That's I. So let's find out what the root is. It's called hike, right? So let's look at it and see what it talks about, because he says, lest I come and strike, okay? Hike is a word when we thought strike, okay? It means to smite, okay? I am going to smite the earth with what? Looking for my final word. There's all these examples of smiting, okay? I'm going to give them all right. So I always go down to the last part of the Strong's Concordance, okay? And in the Strong's Concordance, it talks about, if he's talking about smite, he's talking about beat, cast forth, give wounds, indeed, kill, make a slaughter. The primitive root is to strike. It could be lightly or it could be severe, okay? It could be literally or it could be figuratively, okay? Right? And I'm going to do this, and I am going to slaughter or strike or bring stripes or a wound upon the earth, okay, that they will not be able to endure, okay? I'm going to strike the earth. If I don't come and do what I told you, Nakah, if I don't come, okay, and do what I said I was going to do and strike this earth, there's going to be what they call a curse, okay? And what he's talking about when he says strike it, I'm going to bring this blow, this wound, okay? And he tells us where he's going to wound. And this is the scary part. The scary part is right here. Because at first you thought, well, what kind of curse are you going to strike it with? You know, you're going to do like you did with Noah and the ark, right? Yeah. So anyway, what do you strike something with? You strike it with your hand. Okay. You use something in your hand to cause a wound. Okay. So he said, I'm going to strike Eth, meaning a direct object marker, the earth. And he says, what a curse. So if this day doesn't come, if Eliyahu doesn't come, Yah says this, I'm going to strike the earth. Beware, I will come and strike the earth with a curse. So the operative word that we really want to focus on is what this word for curse is. Because I thought it was just him pronouncing something on us, right? And it's not just a pronouncement. It's something that I've been talking about with Forrest and a lot of other people. And Forrest, you already know what it is. I'm going to do a K-room. Okay. And what is a K-room? What do you see right there? It's a devoted thing. It's devoted. Okay. And what does devoted mean? You're in the class, Kent. We just had it last Thursday. Remember what Yah said about the things that you take in your house as a curse? Remember what he told Joshua 7:1? Listen, folks, a devoted thing is this. A devoted thing is something that Yah says that I have already devoted it to destruction. And the way that he devotes something to destruction is to say that there's nothing that anyone can do to change what I'm about to do. Okay. I'm going to devote the earth to be a devoted thing. If Elihu doesn't come and he doesn't declare who Yah is, right? Yah saying, I'm going to hit the earth and smite it with a curse. They put that word curse there, but that word should not be cursed. That word really should be called devoted. It should be something that's devoted to destruction. And anything that's devoted to destruction means that there's nothing, it's a dedicated thing. Okay. It means if Yah says that I've dedicated you to be destroyed, then you're going to be destroyed. It means appointed to utter destruction. It means extermination. It means when Yah curses us, they put the nice little word cursed. But you and I didn't know what curse means. It's Karam. And Karam means is usually you're doomed. It means extermination. It means Yah is going to get rid of, he's going to kill everybody on the earth. That's what he's saying. I'm going to kill everybody on the earth. That's what he's telling us. And he says it in all these. Huh?
And there's no way you can appeal the decision that he made. That's it. It's going down, right?
In Joshua chapter number 7, he gave them a warning. Remember, they went into the land of Jericho and said, everything here is devoted to destruction. And then you got to burn everything up. And he said, if you take anything that you're not supposed to take, I'm burning you with fire. And that's what happened to the guy ACKI'KA. So this is what Yah is telling us. And that's what I'm trying to explain. And hopefully I'm explaining it clear enough for everyone to understand. If you and I don't turn, if he doesn't turn the hearts of the fathers to the sons and the sons to the fathers, he says, if I don't do that, if I don't come and do this, I'm going to strike the earth with a what? Devotion to be exterminated. Those are the last words that were spoken by the prophet Malachi. So God's not joking. Okay, so when he talks about this day being a day of dread, and he talks about this day of being a day, it's going to be hot as an oven if you don't turn. And I'm going to separate the righteous from the wicked. If you don't turn on this time, you're gone. If Yah does, I said in my teaching, I said if Israel doesn't turn and we don't turn to righteousness, then Yah says he's going to destroy the whole earth. That's what his plan is. If you and I do not turn our hearts back to our sons and our sons to our daughters, and we don't talk to Yah, he's going to destroy the whole entire earth. For the day is coming, burning like a furnace, when all the proud and all evildoers will be stubble. The day is coming, will set them ablaze, says Yahweh Zavaoth, and leave them neither root nor branch. But to you who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in its wings, and you will break out leaping like calves released from the stall. You will trample the wicked. They will be the ashes underneath the soles of your feet on the day when I take action, says Yahweh Zavaoth. Remember the Torah of Moshe, the instructions of my servant, which I enjoined to him at Korev, laws and rulings for all Yisrael. Look, I am sending to you Eliyahu the prophet before the coming and the great and terrible day of Yahweh. He will turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the hearts of the children to their fathers. Otherwise, I will come and strike the land or the earth with complete destruction. And the way that they got this word right here for before is just means faces. Not just before your faces. I'm bringing him before your faces. And it's going to be a day, not days, on that day. I'm bringing fire. And you and I are around here thinking that, this is going to be, some magical, opportunity for us to come and see someone, who's going to be nice about it. This is going to be the worst day of everybody's life. You understand? It's going to be a really terrible day for the wicked and for those who are not righteous. It's going to be the worst day that this earth has ever seen. And so that's what you and I have to prepare for. Okay. It's not for me. I teach you because I love teaching. I love instruction, but I'm terrified, and you should be too. Why? Because what does Isaiah say? For look, Yahweh will come in fire, and his chariots will be like a whirlwind to render his anger furiously, his rebuke with blazing fire. For Yahweh will judge all humanity with fire, with the sword, and those slain by Yahweh will be many. Those who consecrate and purify themselves in order to enter the gardens, then follow the one who was already there, eating pig meat, reptiles, and mice, will all be destroyed together, says Yahweh. For I know their deeds and their thoughts. Period. The time is coming when I will gather together all the nations in language. They will come and see my glory. You understand? So the fire from the sun. It's from the sunlight. Yah is going to bring the sun. The fire is coming from a source of hot sun. It's going to be a terrible day. It's not going to be a nice day. The day is going to be so terrible that people are going to be holding their stomachs like a man's going to look like he's pregnant. Why? He's going to look like he's pregnant because he's going to be bent over like a woman asking for somebody to help him because his face is going to turn green. Why? Why is his face going to turn green, David? Tell me why. I'll tell you why, and then we'll end the study. Here is what Yahweh says. We have heard a cry of terror and fear and not of shalom. Ask now and see, can men give birth to children? Why then do I see all the men with their hands on their stomachs like a woman in labor, with every face turned pale, meaning green? How dreadful that day will be. There has never been one like it. A time of trouble for Yaakov, but out of it he will be saved. I'm going to deliver him. On that day, says Yahweh Zavaoth, I will break his yoke from off your neck. I will snap your chains. Foreigners will no longer enslave him. Instead, they will serve Yahweh, their Elohim, and David, their king, of whom I will raise up for them. So don't be afraid, Yaakov, my servant, says Yahweh, or be alarmed, Israel, for I will return you from far away and your offspring from their country of exile. Yaakov again will be quiet, at rest, and no one will make him afraid. For I am with you to save you, says Yahweh. I will finish off all the nations where I have scattered you. However, you I will not finish off, but discipline you as you deserve, only as you deserve. I will not completely destroy you. Here is what Yahweh says. Your wound is past healing. Your injury is most severe. No one thinks your wound can be bandaged. You have no medicines that can heal you. All your friends have forgotten you. They will no longer seek you out. I have struck you down as an enemy would and punished you as a cruel man would because of your great wickedness and because of your many sins. Why do you cry that your wound and pain are past healing? I have done these things to you because of your great wickedness, because of your many sins. But all who devour you will be devoured. and all your enemies will go into exile. Those who plunder you will be plundered, and those who pillage you will be pillaged. For I will restore your health, and I will heal you of your wounds, says Yahweh. Because they are called an outcast, Zion, with no one who cares about her. Thus says Yahweh, I will return Yaakov's captives to their tents, and I will take pity on his dwellings. Cities will be rebuilt on their own tails. Palaces where they were supposed to be. For them will come thanksgiving and the sound of people celebrating. I will increase them, they will not be decreased. I will honor them, and they will not be despised. Their children will be as they used to be, their community confirmed in my presence, and I will punish everyone who oppresses them. Their leader will be one of their own, and their ruler will come from among them, and I will cause him to come close and let him approach me. For otherwise, who would guarantee his heart enough to approach me, says Yahweh. You will be my people, and I will be your Elohim. Look for the storm of Yahweh bursting out in fury, a sweeping storm, whirling down on the heads of the wicked. Yahweh's fierce anger will not abate until he accomplishes the purpose in his heart. In the Akarith Hamayim, you will understand. We are in the Akarith Hamayim, the last days. And that's why I understand it. And you do too. Praise the Holy One of Israel. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So the Akara Hayayim is in the last days.
Yes, it means last days. The Hebrew word, and I'll put it right here for you, and I'll put it in pink. A car, okay, means another, or a last, or after. Okay, so it means another. Forgive my handwriting. You can write it down. My fingers are tired. It means another. A car means another or after. Okay. Okay. And the it right here is just a plural form. So afterwards. Okay. And the ha means the, because that's the hey. That means the. Okay. THE. Run a hey in the front of a word is the. Okay. And then yamim. Yam. Okay. Which is really in yom, but since it's plural, it's yamim. So yamim. Okay. That yamim is plural. You see this im on the end? That's days. Okay, so that's plurality. This is plural, and this is plural. But this is the days, the last days, that last days before we get to the final day. So there's a final day, which is called the day of Yahweh. Okay, it is identified with a hey. It's the day. Okay, so it's not going to be something. It can't be 1,000 years. It can't be any of those things. It's only going to be on this day that he chose. It's a day. When he says on that day, look how many times he says it. Look what he says on that day, right? On that day, right? I'm going to do this on that day. What else do we have? How dreadful it would be. Yeah. I'll return. Yeah, on that day.
Oh.
So it's coming on that day. There's a day that's coming that no one's going to be able to stand. There's a day that day is coming. And that's the day, and that's what he says you'll understand in the last days. You'll understand what I'm saying. And so Yah's given us an understanding to let us know that if it's not if, it's when. So, we put the pieces together. Yah says you guys are going to come out your stalls. Well, what's your stall? It's your house. You'll come out of your house. And when you walk out of your house, everyone else is going to be burned up. You know, there will be some survivors, because he did say there's going to be some survivors. But the day that he's coming is going to be a day of great, it's going to be a great, you heard what he said. He said people are actually going to be holding their stomach. Men are going to be crying like they're having a baby. And the reason why they're going to be crying, Renee, is simply because they're going to know, like, you know, it's over. There's nothing a person can do to get out of it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If once the day comes on you, there's nothing you can do to get out of it, even the wicked. And that's why he's telling us to turn from our wickedness and turn from our ways. And so the people that you're dealing with, you got to come to know this and instruction, not just so you can learn it for yourself, but Yah tells us to warn the wicked and to tell them to turn from their wicked ways. So if a person that doesn't follow Yah, they're wicked. That's just what he says. It's no, you know, from his perspective. And we don't like to hear that, you know, we don't like to hear what he's saying. But the fact of the matter is that anybody that doesn't follow what Yah says is wicked. If you don't follow the Torah, you're wicked, period. And Yah and he doesn't classify Israel just as wicked. Anybody that doesn't follow Yah's instructions are wicked. Yah says if you could show mercy and pity to the wicked, but until they learn your judgments, nothing's going to work. No one's gonna turn to you if they don't. They can look. You can have mercy and pity and show that to the wicked all day long, and they're still going to do what they want to do. He says it right there in Isaiah 26. Just so you can say, well, David, are those your words? That's something that you're saying, or really, what's it? What's going on? Right? Listen what he says. I want you to read it. Verse number 7, keep reading. What does it say?
Oh, anyone?
Read it for me, Kent.
Oh, verse 7.
Yep. And keep reading. I'll stop you in between. Go ahead.
The way of the righteousness is level, righteous one. You smooth the path for the righteous, following the way of your judgments. We put our hope in you. The desire of all our soul is to remember you in your name.
Okay, so stop right there. So the righteous is level because Yah is the one who levels our path. He shows us how to walk, right? So it's our ways is level. He's the righteous one. He smooths our path, the direction that we walk for us, right? He says, if we follow the way of your judgments, and that's so righteousness has to do with his judgments, because that's in context. Because if you think about a path, the path is the way. So if the path for the righteous is the way of your judgments. So if in order for you to be righteous, you have to follow the judgments. We put our hope in you when we follow your judgments. We're not arbitrarily following him because for whatever reason, our hope is in his judgments because that's his way. And that's the way, and the path for the righteous is the one that he smoothed out. So he's telling us that you can follow my ways. My judgments are smooth. They're not bumpy, and you shouldn't be able to fall in them. You should be able to have no problem walking in them. The desire of all our soul, okay? Our hope is in you. Our soul is to remember you and your name. That's all. Remember I said those who fear him to remember him. And how do you remember him? He told you to remember the Torah. The Torah is his words, which includes his judgments. If you remember Yah, you'll remember his judgments. If you remember him. If you don't remember him, you're not going to remember him. What does he say? My soul desires what? You at night? My spirit seeks you at dawn. When your what? Your judgments are here on earth, the people in the world learn what righteousness is. So that confirms what I just told you, is that judgments are what you call righteousness. You are not righteous if you don't follow the judgments that Yah set out. Even if pity is shown to the wicked, he still doesn't learn. Remember, learn here. He's not going to learn what righteousness is, because Yah will not cross out his judgments. He won't say, well, I'm just going to show pity without no judgment. That's not a righteous judge. Yah is righteous. So based on his righteousness, he says, my judgments are righteous. Even if you show pity to the wicked, you can show the wicked pity. He still doesn't learn. So showing somebody pity and talking to them and just trying to spare them and not telling what it is because you don't want to share what the judgments are. And what are Yah's judgments? Well, they've been given negative names. All they are is rules. What are Yah's rules? What's his rulings? How should you live? How should we live? It's his rulings. Rules and rulings, regulations, rules, regulations, right? Rulings for him to rule as a king. Okay. In the land of uprightness, which is his land, he will still what? Act wrongly and fail to see the majesty of Yahweh. You cannot see the majesty of Yah without following the judgments and the righteousness of Yah. You understand? So that's what it is. And a lot of our people and a lot of people in general don't want to follow this prescription. They think they're going to go into the land because they think that the Yah loves, he's nice. He's not going into the land. He will still act wrongly if he failed to see the majesty. In a land of uprightness, he won't even know what it is. So there's a change of heart and a change of mind that has to happen in order to go into this land. Yah says, I'm not letting anybody wicked in the land. That's chapter number 20 of Ezekiel. You can't forget what he says. This is what everything is based upon, is what did he say? So if you and I follow his judgments, then you and I will be righteous. And that's what we should remember him. We remember him by following what he says. And we've definitely got to remember his name, because in his name he's the self-existing one. He's the one who gave us these judgments. And he attached YHWH to those judgments. So you deny his name if you deny his righteousness through his judgment. That's why he's killing everybody. He said, I'm gonna be a swift witness against a person who steals somebody's wages and who does wrong to the will and the foreigner. Yah cares. Do you know Yah cares more about the will and the foreigner than anybody else? Why? Because they don't have a husband, they don't have a father, they have no strength. He's the strength of those who don't have any strength. And so he hates people that tries to hurt those who are weak. That's why he's going to kill these people, and rightfully so, because that's what he says. So all you and I are doing is just agreeing about what he said. You're saying, I believe what you said. I believe what you said about the diet. I believe what you said about the Shabbat. I'm going to keep the festivals because they honor you and you asked me to do them, because I'm interested in what you're interested. He's telling us if we don't do what he says, then you're not going to live. You're not going to live. If you want to live, you'll do what he says. If you don't want to live, and that's what Rivka and I was discussing today. If you don't want to live, don't do what he says. If you want to live, do what he says. If you don't want to live, then don't do it. That's just, and you can't be mad at somebody. If somebody wants to die, let them die. I mean, people eat what they want to eat. They do what they want to do. And all of a sudden we're trying to tell them how to eat and how to live. That's what they want to do. What does he say? But if your hearts turn away and if you refuse to listen, and if you're drawn away to prostrate yourself before other gods and serve them, I'm announcing to you today that you will certainly perish. You will not live long in the land that you are crossing the Yarden to enter today, to possess. I call on heaven and earth to witness against you. And guess what the witnessing is? Why is he calling on the heaven? Why? What's in the heaven?
Army.
The sun, the moon, and the star. Do you know the reason why he's calling on this sun right now? Because it's going to be the sun that's going to deliver the righteousness onto the earth. So he's letting them know ahead of time that if they don't do what I'm saying, I'm going to use you to execute my judgment on them. That's why he's calling on these heaven and earth. That's the reason why he's calling on them. Because they're going to execute the judgment. The witness against you. They're going to be the ones, and by them witnessing is they're going to respond to you. I have presented you today with life and death. I gave you two options. You could choose whichever one you want. I gave you the blessing and I gave you the curse. Therefore, choose life. So that you individual will live, you and your descendants. If you're going to die, then everybody that belongs to you that refuses to do what Yah says, they're dying too. Period. Loving Yahweh, your Elohim, choose life. You could choose it. You know, the question is, can we choose that? Or does Yah's telling you right here, choose it. I gave you a choice. Choose life. Because I got two ways in front of you. It's up to you to choose which one you want. You want life or do you want death? Which one do you want?
Simple as that.
Loving Yahweh, your Elohim, paying attention. Listen how you choose life. This is how you choose life. Paying attention to what he says. You see, there's no end here. There's a comma right here. That's a comma. That means it's continuing. Choosing life is so you can live, you and your descendants, by loving Elohim. That's number one. Number two, paying attention. That's number two, to what he says. Number three, clinging to him. For this is the purpose of your life. Those are the three things that you have to do. Love Yah, pay attention to what he says, and cling to him and no other God. Those are the three things. And that is the purpose of your life. That's the only reason why you exist, to love Yah, to pay attention to what he says, and to cling to him. Because guess what life is? So we can get out of the abstract. Life is food, clothing, and shelter. Life has to do with the Kai, and the Kai has to do with the stomach. Yah gave us a land so you and I would have food that would give us life. If we follow his instructions, the food will be brought to us by the rain. Like we read today, if you do what I tell you, I'll give you the rain, because the rain will provide you with food. And it's going to be good food. If you do what I tell you, your animals are going to be able to produce. You're going to be able to have more children. You'll continue to live. A plant that does not produce seed or its fruit is cut down and pulled out or burned up. You understand? So if you and I want to live, his instruction, he said, you want life? Life is not committing adultery. You commit adultery, I'm killing you, because that's what death is, adultery. If you don't eat what I told you, you're dying. That's death. If you break the Shabbat, you're dying. I'm trying to tell you to choose the food that I told you. I'm trying to tell you to choose, don't covet, don't steal, don't lie, don't do any of these things, don't murder, don't do any of these things. All the 10 words I told you, along with all the other things that are encompassed in that. If you eat what I told you, you're going to have a good life. You treat your wife right, you're going to have a good life. You love on your kids, you're going to have a good life. You obey your parents, you get to live. You don't obey your parents, I'm killing you. You mistreat the widow and the fatherless, I'm killing you. You do you're lying and stealing and cheating and all that, I'm going to take away from you. I'm going to bring death to your pocketbook. I'm going to enslave you. So it all goes together, folks. You got to choose that. And life is not, it's not abstract. Life is the senses, what you see. You won't see enemies chasing you. You won't be afraid physically. You won't see nobody put a knife to your throat or your wife's throat and take your kids into slavery. That's what life is. You break my laws, I'm sending the enemy to put you to death. because my laws are righteous. And if I can warn you, I can warn you. It's still your choice. You got to choose it. You got to choose life. I can't choose this for you. Just like I didn't choose it, Adam and Kua in the garden. I'm not doing that. I didn't create you to choose nothing for you. I want you to choose it. If you're going to be my wife, be my wife. I chose you. You got to choose me. I chose this land for you. They give you good food. I chose it. I'm going to do some choosing, but ultimately you have to choose me. You actually got to choose to live. You got to choose to love me. You got to choose to pay attention to what I'm saying. You got to choose that you're going to decide to cling to me and not nobody else. Because that's what your purpose is. Because that's why I created you, for myself. And if you don't understand that, then you're not going to get it. And on this depends the length of time that you will live on the land that Yah gave you. And if you go to the other place, that's part of your ancestors. If you go to other places in other lands, you're not going to survive, because those are the places you're going to pine away from, because they don't have life. They don't have life in their food. They all that surround you is death and enemies and hatred and oppression. But this is only happening because you didn't choose me. You chose this. You got to listen to the words that I told you. You got to pay attention to what I say. Period. If you do not pay attention to what he says, then you're dead. You can share that with your family. You tell them, because he's going to kill them. No one is going to walk away. Do you understand what I just told you? Don't let nobody lie to you and fool you and say, well, they were just good people. Because I can show you a verse right now. Yah says, you call people good, call the wicked good and the good evil. I'm going to kill you for that. Because you turned around and said somebody was good. You don't even know their heart, but you're saying they're good. What about from my perspective? See, nobody wants Yahweh's ways. They despise him and they abhor his commandments and his mitzvot. And that's why we're on class today. It's because Yah says, I need you to teach my people what I said and give them an opportunity to choose what I'm telling them. You have a choice today. You can choose life or you can choose death. It's up to you. You can pay attention. You can cling if you want. You can love me if you want, because I love you. God's already declared he loved us. He doesn't have anything to prove to us. If anything, we got something to prove to him, because he keeps telling us that when you come to your senses and you think about it, then you'll come back, and then me and you can have a relationship. Until then, don't fool yourselves. Don't play games and get into a religious mindset where you got these people teaching you that, just read the Bible and, learn a couple of Hebrew words. I'm telling you right now, with everything that's in me, okay, that Yah is not playing around with us. And if you think he's coming back and he's going to understand things, then you're mistaken. He's killing everybody that would not follow what he said. And I'm telling you right now, there will be some survivors, because he said there will be. But Yah says, he said the slain of Yahweh will be many. And I'm coming to judge the earth with fire. And that time is coming. I don't know when, but I know this. We've been locked in our house for over a year. And in the vaccines and stuff, that doesn't cover that's the test phase. It's not going to get you out of anything. All I know is this: all the businesses are going down. I do know that. I know there's no tax base, so I don't know how the schools are going to survive, and the police department and all that. Listen, this is a hostile takeover, and Yah's coming back. He promised his. Rivka scared me terribly. She said, "What if this is it?" And I said, well, we just need to go to Deuteronomy chapter number 30 and hold on to those words, right? Yeah. When you start thinking about the curses and the blessings, and you turn to Yah with a whole heart, that's where we're at right now. I appreciate you guys' time. I know I went over today, but I love you, and I needed to tell you, and learning the Hebrew language is great. You're going to learn. You're familiarizing yourself. It's not no set pattern. You can learn the Hebrew alphabet. You sit yourself down and say, I'm going to learn the first 5 letters. Yeah, I'm just your teacher. I'm here to instruct you and help you. But more than anything, Yah is saying, listen, the time is here. The time is here, you guys. There's no look, why are we waking up? Why did someone wake up to this truth? Who woke us up? I mean, did someone come up, did a Jewish man walk up to me and say, hey, I want to tell you that you're the Hebrew people. Does anybody come to me and tell me that? Nobody told me nothing. I was reading the scriptures and I found out that the people that he was talking about punishing, that was me. That's me. That's us. We're punished. You understand? And the whole idea that he's not mad, we read that he said, I'm going against them while they're in the lands of their enemies. But if and when they decide to humble themselves and confess, using your mouth to start talking about the Torah and get into the instruction and put your hand from that, when he says, don't use your hands on Shabbat to do work, you restrain yourself and you say, I'm following Yah's instructions. Not only restrain your hands, restrain your mouth. You know, our mouth is another gate we got to be careful about. This is my day. You sanctify it and you make it holy. You keep it as holy as you possibly can, and do it with a whole heart. And so love Yah, pay attention to what he says, and cling to him. That's what we're supposed to do. You understand? Along with everything else. That's all inclusive. Fear him, get knowledge, all that. Any more questions?
Well, not from me.
Brother David, I was gonna say that I kind of saw a connection, like, so the end of the Old Testament is Malachi, where
Yes.
it talks about is it Eliyahu or
Yeah.
Elijah?
Eliyahu.
And so when you were talking about, so that's the end of the Old Testament. And then the new, of course, in most of our Bibles, the New Testament then starts. But I was kind of thinking of like when you were saying that he stood between the two controversies of the Northern Kingdom if they wanted to serve the LORD,
Yeah.
or serve Yah.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing in our Bibles. Like,
Yes.
do you want to serve Yah in the Old Testament, or do you want to serve the LORD in the New Testament?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely
I kind
right.
of looked at it like that.
Well, you're looking at it with open eyes. You're in the ACKI'KA. He said that you will know. So what he's saying is that you're becoming aware of having to make a choice, right? Because remember, he's telling us to choose life or choose death. So in context, we just read in Deuteronomy, he says, I said two ways before you today. The first way is life, and he tells you what life is, which is loving Yah, right? With Shema, love Yah, and then doing exactly, paying attention to what he says and clinging to him. So the opposite of that, death is not clinging to him. Death is not listening to him and paying attention to what he says. And death is not loving him. So, and how do you know that you love him if you do what he says? So that's the contrast, and you're 100% correct. So Eliyahu is going to come on a day, and the day will be at that day. He's going to declare who Yah is. Remember, he did it in like we read today, that he said that he came and he said, I'm declaring right now to everybody. And Yah is recognized and known by being a fire. That's why Moshe said he's a consuming fire. And that's what we read in Isaiah 66. He said he's coming in fire. The book of Malachi said he's coming in fire. This is how he declares himself, in fire. In the book of First Kings, he came down in fire to prove who he is. When he came down on Mount Sinai, he came down in fire. That's how he's coming. So when he comes this way, if you and I, like he says in Malachi 3:16, he says that you and I, since we feared him, we meditated upon his name, and we meditated upon and we feared him. He said he's going to write your name down in a book of a remembrance, a book of Zikaron, a Sefer Zikaron. You can look it up. It's chapter 3, verse 16, 17, and 18. He says, I will spare them. I'm going to spare the people that were fearing me, like a man who spares his own son that serves him. So it's about serving Yah. It's about loving Yah. It's about being faithful to Yah. Because when he comes, he's not asking any questions. It's going to be one day, like we read in Jeremiah. On that day, it's not like someone else is going to, like Yah is bringing trouble on Yaakov. No, Yah is allowing the world to press upon. Everything is going to be simultaneous. Meaning there's coming a time where all the enemies of Israel are going to come against us and try to kill us, okay, whether that's with vaccines or some kind of way. And they're going to have us pinned in like we were pinned in before we went through the Red Sea. Remember, Israel was pinned and they couldn't go anywhere and they were terrified and they cried out to Moses. And Moses went down and he cried out to Yah, and Yah says, why are you crying out to me? You know, put your hand over this water, and he lifted it up, right? Well, guess what? When they walked through the Red Sea, before they walked through the Red Sea, they were pinned. But their enemies was pressing upon them. They were coming. They were terrified. They said, we're dead. We're dead. So that is going to happen to Israel again. Because through the Red Sea, Yah saved Israel through that time. Okay. So remember, he said, I saved you through the water. You won't be affected. And here's the scary part. Okay. And I'm going to share this with you. The scary part is this, what he says, I walked through the water with you and nothing happened to you. Okay. That's the first time, right? Yah proclaims to us that we're going to walk through something else and nothing's going to happen to us. A lot of us thought this was talking about, the Hebrew boys when they walked through the fire. But the Most High says, I'm going to walk with you when I will walk with you. Listen what he says, because this has to do with what you just said. He said this. This is what Yahweh says. Who created you, Yaakov? I created you. He who formed you, Israel. Don't be afraid. Okay, that's number one. For I have redeemed you. Okay, that when did we get redeemed? We got redeemed when he took us out of Mitzrayim. Okay, we were redeemed then. ED, done. Okay, we're redeemed. Okay, I am calling you by your name. You are what? Mine. Right? That's why I don't want you to be afraid. When you pass through the water, I will be with you. When you pass through the rivers, they will not overwhelm you. When you walk through fire, you will not be scorched. The flame will not burn you. For I am Yahweh, your Elohim, the Holy One of Yisrael, your Savior. I'm your Savior, because you are going to walk through fire, just like you went through the water, the sea. Okay? You understand? So I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to be with you. Okay? I was with you, and I'm going to be with you again. Okay? I'm going to be with you. Period. I'm going to. And I don't want you to be afraid. Don't be afraid, okay? That's what he's saying. He's saying, don't be afraid. I'm going to be with you. All right? And so you're going to walk through the water. You're going to walk through it. You're going to walk through the fire. Yeah. So get prepared for that. That's what he's trying to tell us. Be prepared for what you're about to go through. That's why he keeps reminding us not to be afraid. He keeps saying it over and over and over again. Don't be afraid, Israel. Don't be afraid, Yaakov. You're my servant. Because he has to tell us this, because if we don't get this, then we're going to be afraid. Like when you see this fire that's coming, okay, you're going to be afraid. You're going to be terrified. Do you see this picture right here?
Yes.
You see this? You guys see the water?
Yes.
Yah says this time it's going to be fire. Now check this out. I did some research and I found out that the water that you see right here, and you see this path is going all the way up here. Check this out. I did some research and I found out how deep the Red Sea is. Right? Depth to get down to dry ground. It's over 10,000 feet approximately.
Whoa.
So when you and I look at this, we're thinking, oh, well, that's probably 50 feet, 100 feet. No, Yah had the water going all the way up 10,000 feet, walls of water. 10,000. That's different, you guys, than 100 or 200 or 300, 500 feet. No, thousands. Do you understand that? No. Do you understand that the depth of the Red Sea is nearly almost 10,000 feet?
Yes.
10,000 feet. So when he's talking about you walking okay, so he did that, and he did that with wind. He made the water congeal with each other. He just made it to where it looked like jelly, and it all was just sticking next to each other. He did that. Okay, he caused that to happen. It says that he didn't only split the Red Sea, he broke it in half. He broke it in half. Who could do that and cause it to stay on its sides?
Wow.
And not affect his people? They're walking over here. You understand? 10,000 feet. That's up in the sky. That's all the way down to the ground. So Israel, when they were on the land, just say this is the land right here, right? Okay. Or better yet, let me get rid of this picture. Say the land was up here at the top, and the children and the people were chasing them. Yah had to split the ocean open, the sea open. They had to walk down and then go through. You understand? To get to one side. Then when they came up, after walking it, they went up to the other side of the land. Though I walked through the valley of the shadow of death, right? So there's this valley, you understand? That they had to go down. The water made a valley, okay? So when I was talking about bringing fire, the whole earth is going to be consumed literally, and you and I are going to be able to walk through it. That's why he tells us not to be afraid. Because I'm with you. That's what the script says. That's not David. That's what the script says. Okay? So the word of encouragement is this. Don't be afraid. If you love Yah and you're paying attention to what he says and you're clinging to him, you have nothing to worry about. If you're keeping the mitzvot and the judgments, you have nothing to worry about. If you're not profaning the Shabbat, you don't have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to worry about. If you turn to him with a whole heart, you have nothing to worry about. And the reason why I know you've turned is because you're on this class. Because a lot of times people don't want to hear what you got to say. Period. They want to soften the message up because they don't want to lose you. You know, they want you to think that, you know, they want to keep you. So what they do is they tell you stuff that you want to hear. I'm telling you things that you don't want to hear. Who wants to hear that their whole family is going to be put to death if they don't keep the Torah? Who wants to hear that you're going to be completely cut off if you don't turn your heart back? Who wants to hear that Yah's going to destroy the whole entire earth if this doesn't happen? If Israel decides that they don't want to turn to Yah. There's no reason for Israel to survive. Yah has already fulfilled his promise. He's already brought us to the land before. He's done what he said. He said to Moshe, I'll start over one person. Yah doesn't owe anybody anything. Don't you get that? This is all based upon mercy. It's based upon how he feels. So let's really hope and pray that he feels this way today. This is all upon about what he promised. So your prayers need to be about what did you promise, Yah? It's not predicated upon how good I am or what I say or how I feel. How I feel and what I do and what I think and all that kind of stuff has no bearing on why Yah said he's going to do what he's doing. He said because of how he felt about it. And if we trust him and we have absolute trust in him, all we can do is go off of what he said. And that's what we're doing. I'm clinging to those words. I can't cling on to anything that doesn't make a promise to me about my deliverance. I just can't. I can't believe in abstract thought. I have to believe in that which is true, and which is true right now. I live off of food. You know what I'm saying? I live off of every word that proceed out the mouth of Yah. Yah's words are keeping me alive because I'm not committing sins against him and adultery and stuff to get me killed. That's what he's talking about. So I encourage each and every person today online, take this serious. You know, do your study, continue to come to class, because I'm telling you, he's not joking and he's not playing, because we are definitely in the ACKI'KA. We're in the last days. Any contributions? If there are no contributions, I want to say, yeah.
I said, no, not for me. No.
Well,
Not yet, at least.
guys, I want you guys to say what I want you to say this prayer in closing. Baruch atah Yahweh,
Baruch atah Yahweh.
Eloheinu,
Eloheinu Yasau.
Melech ha'alam,
Melech ha'olam.
Yoser or,
Yaser or.
Uvarei Koshek, Osei Shalom,
Osei Shalom.
Uvarei Eth Hakol.
Et Hakal.
What did we say? We said, blessed are you, Yahweh, the King of the world, for you're forming the light, you're creating darkness, you're making shalom, and you're creating all things. Yah's in charge of everything. And we bless his name and we call him the King of the world because that's what he is. And may he have mercy upon our souls. And may he continue to bless you and your households. And may he keep you and guard you and protect you from evil and from anything or anyone who desires to do you harm. Praise be to the Holy One of Israel. And I thank you for your time today. And I say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Shalom.